So right now, based on the last video, we were in this error. So in order just to fix it, we need first to instantiate the object. Then we're gonna use the another method, which is or another way, which is the HTTP status dot created. And by this, after creating the object or the API will return as a status code. It will return the 201 status code. It is a common practice or a good practice to use the 201 to indicate that the object was created successfully. And another annotation that we need to use. Also, I forgot to mention that I have added here the slash.api, the slash API. So we use it in order to indicate the path that we will be using in order to address all the requests to this API. Then we're going to add another annotation, which is the REST controller. It is extremely important. I forgot to add it. It is the annotation that indicates to Spring Boot that this will be treated as an annotation, and also another annotation that we'll be using, which is the post mapping. And for the post mapping, it's not that necessary to add some kind of endpoints. But if we do not add it, there is no problem for now. And now let's relaunch our application. So, and while we're waiting, we're going to use here Postman. So it is a tool in order to test your API and to address all the requests to it. So everything is good and ready to go. So right now, I'm gonna enter the URL, which is here.api, and I'm gonna change the method, which is the post method, and here I'm gonna use the raw body row, and for the text I'm gonna use JSON, and here I'm gonna use those curly braces. Then here, as we have in our within the attributes of our entity, we have the first name, then which is, for example, let's say Osama. And for the last name, I have, for example, let's just write it is. And here for the email, I'm gonna, for example, write also just this. And by clicking on send, yeah, the method was created successfully. So now let's add another method, and that will return the list of all our, for example, the list of students. That's why we're gonna go back to our service. So in order to add that method, for example, here, public list, it's gonna be a list, for example, of students, and this is the genericity. It indicates the type of, specifically the types of the entities that will, or the types of objects that we will be having within this list. For example, get students like this. And here, let's say nothing. We won't have anything here as a parameter. And yeah, we need to define here students. Yeah, I forgot. Just we need to import the list. So yeah, from here, everything is good. Now we're gonna return this, and we're gonna make call to the student repository dot get find all. So here, and by default, this method will return a list. So after finishing this, we're gonna move on to the student controller. Then we're gonna add another method, which is the public, for example, public. Here where we'll have a response entity, and for the kind of response that we will be having, we will expect a list of students, and get students, and here we're gonna just import the class. Then here we're gonna make call to first we're gonna make call to the yeah, we're gonna instantiate an object, which is a list A, for example, and here we're gonna make call to the service, student server dot get students, and by this we're gonna return a new response entity, and yeah, it's gonna have the student as a parameter. So just let me check about it. And yeah, and also we need to add HTTP status, and here I'm gonna add the accepted. And also we need to add another annotation, which is the get mapping, because it's gonna be a get method. And we're gonna only save the same endpoint. So that's it maybe. So let's wait while the application is relaunching. So everything is good. We're gonna send the other method here, which is the creation, because as I have already mentioned, we are using the H2 database, so everything is just stored in memory. So whenever we are relaunching the application, we will, yeah, the database will be reinitialized. So here, let's hope that everything is working okay. And here we go. The method is good. Everything is good. Just let's create, for example, another object with the same parameters, because they're not unique. So yeah, let's set a get method. And here we go. Everything is good. The ID is generated by the H2 database. So now you're ready to build your first web or your first API using Spring Boot. That is all about Spring Boot. How we could make a simple RESTful API. But just be patient, because there are many concepts we will be seeing in the future. How we can, for example, in the future, how we could add the GWT, how we could add, for example, the yeah, which is the authentication. How we could, for example, add more about the repositories. We're gonna dive deeper and deeper in this. We're gonna also know how to use the microservices architecture. So stay tuned and see you in the next video.